a good way to do activism is to be yourself and approach people how you would otherwise approach people normally. Like, don't try to be somebody you're not.
Just wanted to get your opinion because I know this is like a very touchy point for vegans, like about intersectionality in veganism.
Okay, intersectionality. Are you trying to cancel me? What?
I don't know. I have to delete this question. Are raw vegans real vegans?
No.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna have Chip, aka Vegan Parlab, with us. Welcome. Thank you for accepting.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you for accepting my invite.
Oh, it's a pleasure. You know, it's always a pleasure to talk with a fellow vegan activist.
Activists with huge air quotes.
What do you mean? You're a vegan activist. You know, you do activist. Maybe I don't know if you do outreach. Do you do outreach?
I don't do outreach. That's why I'm like activist.
But I saw your videos. You have this, the last one with the where you go to sanctuaries and show that. That's cool. What do you mean? That's cool. That's still activism. It's just different types of activism.
Yes, I agree with you, but some people, you know, consider only outreach activism. So that's why.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, so maybe
I get what you mean.
you can start by introducing yourself a little bit, like who you are, basically, so that all our viewers know.
It's a good question, you know. Who are you? Who am I? I'm a Chip. I'm a animal rights activist, YouTuber wannabe, former software engineer. That's basically my profession. I found myself a vegan. I found myself being vegan, and then I decided that I want to fight for animals because I enjoy it. I enjoy having these conversations with people. I enjoy. Well, I wouldn't say debate, but like I enjoy the dodging the mental gymnastics that people go through to say no to veganism. So I enjoy that. The one thing that annoys me during outreach, I think, is when people repeat themselves. So when I go in circles, then I lose interest. So yeah. So
okay.
I don't know if that's a good enough description. It's hard to say who you are, isn't it? Yeah.
That's the point. It's fun to me. Okay, so maybe let's go a little bit about like your personal journey, like how you came into veganism, and then we can go into your activism a little bit, and then we do the fire question round. I don't know if you saw it on my other interviews. Hope not, because
I didn't see it.
Great, no. Then it's a surprise. So let's start with your personal journey. So how did you become vegan? Like what inspired you to be vegan, and for how long have you been vegan?
How long of a story do you want me to tell?
If it's too long, I'll cut it.
No, so I became vegetarian at some point because I was fed up with meat, and I was like, I'll just be vegetarian. And after like 7 years, after like 3 or 4 years of vegetarian, I realized that I'm also doing good for the animals. So I thought, okay, I'm just doing well for the animals. And I didn't look too much into it. And after like 7, I don't know. I lost track of 6 or 7 years of vegetarianism. I was just looking for debates online because I find them fascinating. And I found Joey Carpstrong, and he had debates on veganism, and I started watching him. I really enjoyed the debates, and I was just listening constantly for like I think for a week, and at some point I think he had a vegetarian there, much like myself, and some of the arguments that guy brought were very similar to my own reasoning, and I was like, oh, okay. I have to be vegan now. I can't justify it anymore. So for me, it was always more like, because after hearing Joey a couple of times, I realized that, oh, okay, well, this is happening to dairy cows. It's awful. But then I'm like, that's not what I'm paying for. It's not my problem. But then I don't know how Joey put it exactly, but he said something like, well, that is what you're paying for. So I'm like, oh, okay, shit. So then I became vegan instantly, man.
Okay, wow, impressive, first of all.
Thank you.
And that was, you said, so you were 6 to 7 years vegetarian, right? And then you converted
2 years.
2 years, okay.
Yeah, 2 years ago, not a long time.
I mean, it's still longer than me, so you're good. You're good. And so when you converted, convert, it's like a strong word, I guess.
Yeah.
This is a cult, okay? This is a cult.
Yes.
Yes. What was one of or some of the biggest challenge that you had, like personally?
So I didn't find it hard to be vegan. I'm already a very organized person. I already knew everything I eat normally. So when it comes to food, it came very easy to me to be to change, because I just had some yogurts and I'm like, oh, okay, I just switched those for soy yogurt, just as good. I thought I wouldn't be able to get enough protein at first, but then I'm like, no, it's easy to get protein. Why is everybody complaining about this? And I didn't really have a lot of challenges. My challenges were when I told my friends that I'm vegan, everybody started being like, hey, don't push your views on me. What? How did I do that? I didn't do that. What do you mean?
Just saying you're
That was
vegan is enough, you know.
yeah. Apparently, just saying I'm vegan is enough, indeed.
And
Yeah. So that was the only difficulty. Friends, people, family, all that.
kind of shifting a bit the paradigm with your close ones. Now they're like, oh, now I have to, I know, confront this reality, let's say, for them, because it's not something that is very close to them and not someone they know is into this kind of. Yeah, can imagine. You touched the protein point, which I liked, because you are a bodybuilder, and or you don't identify with that label.
I don't know. I'm a bodybuilder, sure. I don't care. I'm a bodybuilder, power lifter, whatever. I do all sorts of stuff. I just lift. I like to lift heavy weight from the floor and put it somewhere else. Yes, let's put it that way.
Okay.
Or multiple times, like, and repeat that.
And repeat it for some time. Okay. And then you make a break, and then you make more repetitions.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow,
yeah.
wow,
I don't know what you
interesting.
would call that.
Let's call it weightlifting. Okay. And how did you get into that?
I used to be a runner. I used to run every day. And my ex-girlfriend started going to the gym, and she said, oh, this gym is so nice. And I thought, I don't think it's that nice. I don't know. I don't like the gym. I was always one of those people who would say the gym is boring. Then I went to the gym with her and then I started, it felt interesting to go to the gym. So I just went to the gym on and off. That didn't really matter. I didn't really get a lot of gains or anything. But then when we broke up, I said, you know what? You'll be missing out. I'm gonna hit the gym. So then I hit the gym, and
rage exercise. I see.
Now I'm all muscle for some reason. I don't even know how it happened, to be honest. You just have to be consistent at it. It's nothing difficult at all. And I find it fascinating now. It's like, there's technique, there's weight, there's how many repetitions. It's very interesting. It's also an interesting thing to do.
Yeah, I've come to realize lately that it is like a huge area of knowledge that I have none
exactly.
of. And
but that's the beautiful part. This part is the nicest part, when you learn about it the most, because it's like you think it's one way, and then it just all of a sudden completes, and it makes so much more sense. And I mean, to me in the gym now, I kind of know all the physical stuff, but it's still, I mean, nowadays it's just like a meditation, because I have to go there and focus on what I'm working on. But it's still nice. I like that you're at the beginning. That's the best part.
Beginning. I'm not at the gym. I'm you from the past. I'm like, it's boring. I don't like it.
Oh, I see.
You see my arm? Lack of muscle. That's me.
I don't know. You look like you have some muscle there. No?
Yoga muscle.
Yoga muscle. Oh, okay.
So very lean kind of style, not kind of bulking. And so you were already into sports before you became vegan, right? And
yeah, very much so.
Did being vegan affect in any way this lifestyle, mentally or physically, for you, or it was just like smooth transition?
I mean, it's hard to say. It was a smooth transition. Like it feels more like it's easier, actually. It felt easier to me to be vegan and a sports person, I guess. I feel like my I always have been pretty resistant to a long exposure of sports, like long running and stuff, but it just feels like I'm even more now. Like I breathe easier. It's I don't know if it's veganism. Honestly, it's hard to say, but like I do feel better. Like it's easier to do sports now. Yeah.
So you didn't feel like many people say like it was hard to hit your caloric goal or anything? That's like what I
Hard to
hear.
hit caloric goal.
I've
I
heard
eat
that.
4,000 to 5,000 calories a day. And I'm like, I wish I had another 1,000. What do people complain about it? It's like, I just want to continue eating. Like, I think my ideal life would be just eat the whole day without getting full and yeah, or fat, full or fat. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Debunked here by Vegan Power Lab.
Yes.
And okay, that was my personal journey part because I'm kind of interested in your activism as well. So how did you like start? Like what drove you to, you know, do outreach on the streets and talking to people?
So when I became vegan, I started talking to my friends about it, and it was kind of they were a bit reluctant. So I realized that I couldn't talk to them about anything. So I said I thought I can't discuss about veganism with anybody. So I remember going to Berlin with a friend, and there was an AV in Berlin then. I saw it on Facebook. Somehow it appeared to me. I don't know. And I decided that, you know what? Let's just go. I'll just meet other vegan people. Worst case scenario, I'll interact with some other like-minded people because I can't talk about veganism. And I started doing outreach just from there. I went there for the first time and I started doing outreach, and I felt like, oh my God, this is so cool. I get to discuss what I've been wanting to discuss for so long with people who don't actually know about it. It's like, oh, it's perfect. It's just, I love it. So yeah, then I started doing AV more, then We the Free. And at some point I thought, you know what, I'll go by myself and do it also. Why not? I like it. So yeah, it was difficult at first by myself, but it gets better.
Don't you get intimidated by other people?
Do you mean like the strangers that you talk to, that I talk to? Yeah, I did at first. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, you're like in front of a camera, you might say stupid things. You never know what you're gonna do. So, but I did a lot of therapy. So I'm like, just go through it. Just go through it. And I had one conversation, one bad one mediocre one. And at some point, conversations got a bit better. So I'm like, okay, let's start publishing.
Okay. And when did you start doing it? How long were you into veganism at that point?
6 months.
6 months. Okay,
Yeah.
nice. So a year and a half of outreach.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like that, yeah.
And when you approach people like on the street or when you do this type of outreach, what is your main goal when doing this type of activism? What you hope to achieve?
That's a good question. It has mutated over time. At first, I was like, my goal is to get them to be vegan. I mean, then the more I talk to other fellow vegan activists, I realize that it's nearly impossible to get people vegan on the spot. I mean, I'm a stranger to them. How would they just like, oh yeah, sure, I'm going to change my life now. But now I'm just like, I want people to understand that they don't have to, that they're complicit. It's their fault that this is happening. That they don't have to participate in it. They can survive and thrive without doing this. And just I try to give them like a little bit, like I usually talk about the dairy industry because it's just like so many people think it's horrible because they milk the cows so much or because they keep the cows in small places. Little do they know that it's so much worse.
Yeah.
So it's usually when I tell people what happens, people usually get like, oh, okay. So I try to have them have a little bit of perspective, their involvement, and then that they can stop. So, and then I just give them resources. We sometimes have conversations more and more just to curb any doubts they have. But I mean, nowadays all conversations end with taste. So
I see. I mean, to your previous point, like, yeah, I think the dairy industry did a really fantastic job at advertising themselves in general. Like, if you buy a package of milk, it always has like a cow and someone petting the cow. And the Got Milk campaign, all the campaigns they did was just like so effective that they managed to change people's mindset until today. So I find that kind of insane.
Yeah, I mean, it also, like, I tell people also, like, okay, well, if you don't believe me, you think, oh, a dairy farmer, they don't do that. Dairy farmers won't say that they do that, first of all. And second, like, just look at the dairy farm and you'll see that they're mostly females, and
Yeah.
it was particularly annoying because now that I went to Austria, actually. I went to Germany and then Austria with my parents, and I had a whole thing with my dad telling him that that's how milk is made, and he's like, "Ah, that's you telling me that's not true,
Yeah.
whatever." And we climbed the mountain. Well, we climbed down the mountain. It was really cool, but there were cows there, and I
Yeah.
said, "Look, see, there's no males." And then as we climbed down further, there were males, and he's like, "Huh? Where? What? What are you saying?" I'm like, "Ah, yeah, but okay, there's some. It doesn't mean."
Yeah, it's always complicated to change like perspectives on that. I don't know how it is
Yeah.
in Romanian, but in Portuguese, for example, the words, we don't say dairy cow, we say milk cows, making
Yeah.
kind of a distinction that like these cows just produce milk. Like, just they just have milk. They don't need to be impregnated. They just were genetically somehow modified to produce milk. And that kind
I
of
mean,
also changes perspectives of like people in general.
that's what I thought. That a long time I thought that cows produce milk if they eat grass and they produce milk. What do you mean? That's their
Yeah,
milk producing machines.
yeah, that's also what I thought. I felt so dumb when I discovered, like, of course it's not.
I was also like, what? How did I not realize this? How did they? Because it's interesting, right? Because they brainwash. Well, I don't know if they brainwash you or, I think it's actual brainwash. They brainwash you with this, with believing this, and in Romania, like, the thing in Romania is, I don't know how it is in Portugal, but in Romania, at the countryside, my grandma had a cow and she was producing milk, and everybody has a cow at their house. It's kind of one of those places, and I was like, I never saw a child, a baby cow. So that's why I thought that, I think that's why I
Yep.
continued thinking that, well, they go out and eat and then they come back home and they produce milk.
Yeah.
But I saw once that there was a baby calf and my grandma let them drink some
Breastfeed.
milk and
Yeah.
then, yeah, breastfeed and then remove them from the cow. And I was like, why do you do that? It's like, oh, it's better for them. Okay, I was a child. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
of course. We don't have that as much, but we have a lot of pigs. Like, people have like a
Oh,
lot of pigs because not that long ago, unfortunately, people would use pigs to heat their houses. So yeah,
what? Wait,
yeah. It sounds really weird, but it's true.
like cuddling them? What do you mean,
No,
like
no,
cuddling
no,
them,
no,
right?
no. Like, so pigs would stay like under the house, like huge, like a lot of pigs, and that like from their body heat, it would call in the also heat up the house.
I have never ever heard of this. This is wow.
This is poor people.
This is insane.
Hack
Wow.
on
Okay.
heating. Yeah, that was fun. But I think like because of stuff like this, so they wouldn't necessarily kill the animals, like they would treat them nicely, or they would have sheep. Sheep is also very common, and they wouldn't kill them, but they would take their wool. But like there's also a line there because in summer they're really hot and you have to shed them and stuff. So people have this
Yeah.
still very fresh conception of having animals and having grown with animals, and then they don't see that the industry is not what they used to do with their own animals. And that also like is sometimes a bit concerning that there's still
Yeah.
this dissonance or between the two realities.
Yeah, unfortunately it is that way. Yeah. People they see one situation and they associate and they think that that's how it always is.
Yeah.
Can't be different. What do you mean? It's
Yeah.
the industry that's the problem. It's not the fact that we use and abuse animals. It's the industry that's doing it.
Yeah.
But are you paying for the industry? Yeah, I am. But
Yeah,
the
I am.
industry's the
I
problem,
am.
not me paying for it. It's the industry.
Yeah, I think that excuses like tons of behavior. It's a problem of capitalism.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but you feed into it. I'm sure like, okay, yes, we all live in capitalist societies in some way, and it's hard to go around it, but you can choose where you spend your money. And it's just about like giving incentives to those to different products and not that. But
That's such a weird thing when people bring up capitalism. It's like, okay, what do you mean? Like, if it were communism, it would be different? What do you mean? It's the same.
It's the same.
What does capitalism have to do with anything? There's industries that it's just the money flows differently, but it's still
Yeah,
about
it's
what the
still.
consumer wants.
And I think we've seen like lately that a lot of companies are developing more plant-based products to maybe take advantage of the market, but and if we see the positives, no animals are being killed then. So it does matter a lot where you spend your money. So I don't think people see the power that they have as an individual to, make change and drive change. It infuriates me.
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad.
Really sad. Like just in Germany, like a couple of months ago, it's not in where I live. I think it's in Berlin, if I'm not mistaken. There was like they opened the first vegan supermarket. So all the products are vegan. There's nothing that is animal based products or a little bit nothing. It's just full vegan. And I'm like,
so nice. Yeah. You just go in without even thinking.
And it's a famous chain, so it's not even just like a random bio natural supermarket. It's an actual chain that decided, you know what? We are going to make a fully vegan supermarket, which I find it really, good. Okay, great. Make more, please.
That's awesome. I'm curious if they did it as an experiment to see how it's gonna work, and if it works well, then they'll probably make it more available.
Yeah,
Germany, all across the country. That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. Yeah, I think it is a kind of a project first. Like, let's see how it plays out, and I think that's also why they did it in Berlin, if I'm not mistaken. Again, because there's a lot of vegans there or people interested in eating plant-based. So they're like, okay, let's try it out, and if it works, then let's like expand. Which I'm all for it. You got my vote. Keep going. But
time to go to Berlin and get some groceries.
It's just it looks like a normal supermarket because it's what you would expect in a supermarket: pasta, rice, vegetables, fruit. Yogurt.
I'm actually gonna go to Berlin. Now that you mentioned it, I want to go to Berlin, and I just specifically want to go to the supermarket and that.
Rewe, it's the name.
Rewe. Oh, okay. I have seen Rewe. Yeah.
Again, pretty famous chain, at least in Germany.
Yeah.
So I was like, you go, man. But going back to, we went on a tangent. Going back to your activism, given that you have like a year and a half kind of experience with activism, what would you say? In your experience, was the best approach that you found to communicate with people and to promote veganism in a way that it reaches more people, let's say?
Yeah, I don't know that. That's a very hard question.
I never said it was easy.
Yeah. I tend to think, I think like the best, like if I was to give a good answer to everybody, is like a good way to do activism is to be yourself and approach people how you would otherwise approach people normally. Like, don't try to be somebody you're not. Like if you're going to be angry, that's it. That's who you are. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm generally a person who likes to discuss, and because I've had my history with conflict in all sorts of places. I've been 15 years a software engineer, so I've had conflict. I've dealt with a lot of conflict in my day-to-day work.
With the computer.
Yeah, with the computer, sure. No, like in a lot of meetings, you don't realize, but software engineering is half of it is just meaning. So I had a lot of conflicts, of course, left and right, and I learned that dealing with conflict means you got to be calm and mature about it and try to meet halfway. And that's kind of what I feel like I'm trying to do when I'm speaking to people. That's kind of my go-to way of doing activism, where I'm trying to be in your shoes, I'm trying to see where you're seeing it. And lately I realized that as a technique, it's very good to just listen as if they were some friends and you're trying to convince them of something, just like that, and then just speak to them like you don't I started with the AV technique, where you ask this, you get this, you ask this, you get this, you have this standardized. Then I kind of mutated towards my own, where I got some answers from left and right and made it my own. And now I'm trying to go to a place where I'm like just directly fluid towards whatever the person says, react to that, respond to that. You don't have to have a standard response, although some of the standard responses are excellent, and there's the reason why they are standard. So
Yeah.
but yeah, as long as you respond to the person, to what they're saying, as long as you're listening, and as long as you are yourself, activism just works.
That's a very interesting perspective. I think like everyone has a different personality, so I guess like everyone would approach it differently. When I interviewed Eddie, he said like, I like conflict. I want to go there and like have a discussion, which is also fine. Like it's totally fine. It works for him because it's the way he is as a person, and you're different, so you would do differently. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll consider.
Yeah. I mean, I like Eddie's way of doing it, but like, yeah, you should consider it. You know, it's I feel like you're just having conversations with strangers on the street, and like when I did a course on Weed the Free, on the course of Weed the Free, they tell you these people are not your enemies. Think of them as pre-vegans. They're people who haven't heard of veganism. You're basically there to inform them, to try and get by that cognitive dissonance, because I don't think it's their fault for the cognitive dissonance. A lot of the times it's just fucking human mind. By the way, can I swear?
I don't know, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Eddie also swears.
Okay.
I think. Okay. I'm too small. They don't care yet.
Okay. Yeah. I lost my train of thought also. I don't know if I have ADHD, but somewhere there on the spectrum of losing attention.
Sorry.
Yeah. Just go out there. Just go out there to it. It's you might if you go out there and you enjoy it, because you know, like that's the thing. You go out there, you speak to a person who's a dick, and then like I don't like it, but then you end up speaking to somebody nice who actually understands it, who like maybe even if they don't change, like right there on the spot, something does change in their mind. Something does. They do become more aware, and even if they, at the end of the day, they don't become vegan, but they end up consuming half the animal products that they normally would, it's still a win, if you ask me. It's still something, because then they would have to consume half the other side, so then we get more demand for that. So, you know, at some point, all these excuses will have to go down, and people will be like, you know what? Yeah, I have to go vegan.
All right, food for thought. I will consider this.
Yeah.
Eventually you will see me outreaching and you will regret this.
That would be cool. That would be cool. I'd love to see that. Yeah.
I would just be like, hi, and then be like, okay, bye.
But that's perfect. Be yourself. Perfect. Be yourself. Be yourself. Speak about it. You know, be passionate about it. It's cool. It's cool.
I'll try. And on your time as an activist, what is still the most annoying argument that you encounter?
Most annoying argument.
When people say, you're like, ugh, seriously?
I guess plants have feelings is very annoying, because it always ends up in this, well, I can show you studies. Well, it's basically like, what do you mean? I don't know if it's the most annoying though. They're all very, very annoying, honestly, some of them.
Doesn't it become frustrating at some point that like you hear the same arguments over and over again?
It doesn't, because they're always in a different order. So, so there's something there. But I think I don't know which one specifically. I don't know if I can name it, but I would say the most annoying arguments are the ones that they're the hardest to refute, and not in the sense that you have nothing to say about them, but rather the people will not understand it. Like that's why when they bring up plants have feelings, I'm like, oh, you read this in the news, you read the study, you didn't even read what it's about. The scientists say in the study that it's just air forming coming out of it's called cavitation. And they're like, they space out because you can't describe anything scientific to them. They space out and they're like, okay.
You have to be very basic. It's just like
yeah, exactly.
Sometimes like the scientists they never claim such a thing. They're very objective in what they're claiming because they know otherwise their paper doesn't get published. So they might say, yeah, they react to stimuli like maybe water or touch or some. Plants have feelings. That's not what they said. Calm down.
What do you mean plants don't scream? Plants scream, tomatoes scream.
That argument also hits me.
Yeah, it's just like some of these arguments, and also some arguments are not just that they're even with simple the descriptions that they're not necessarily scientific. they're complex in their nature. I can't think of one right now, but they're complex in the sense that, oh well, okay, you can't understand this if you don't kind of understand the whole picture, and then you start explaining the whole picture, but then they lose track, you know. Like I feel like when you speak to people, you have to ask questions constantly. I'm learning more and more that your role there is just to ask questions. That's it. Just it's like a therapist basically, because a therapist, that's all they do, right? They listen, they understand where you're at, and then ask questions so that you get there. Basically, that's our role as activists.
Yeah, I think so. I read this book. It's not about activism, by the way, but I think it would be really good for activists to read, which is called Nonviolent Communication. And
I know that one.
It's amazing. And like he talks about like how to approach people that already might have a strong opinion about, I don't know, a certain topic, and how to kind of, you know, break down these defenses that people build and then be more open to listen to your message. That book should be on everything. Love that book. Changed my life.
I agree.
It's amazing.
I read that book. I had a course on nonviolent communication, and I had a course on vegan outreach with nonviolent communication, like with the same principles. So yeah, I get it. It's very good. It's very good for conflict and situations like that. Yeah.
You just need a lot of self-restraint and practice. It is not easy. I admit that. Like, props to the author that does that constantly. Like, I wouldn't imagine. Now, on a more good, lighter note, I guess, but still about your activism, as like a last question. Do you have like a memory or like a particular moment that touched you when you were doing activism, like in a positive way, hopefully?
I had a couple of good ones during AV. I haven't had a lot of good ones during. I really like. I have a conversation that I actually published online with this American guy, and I really liked that conversation because I could actually discuss things with him. I could actually get ask him questions. He would understand. We would go back and forth, and that's the whole thing. If you can do that, you reach veganism, because there's no reason to not be vegan. That's the reality. As long as you're open to the discussion throughout the whole way, you get there. So that's one really good conversation that I enjoyed myself. But a conversation that touched me like emotionally, I would say, I had a conversation during AV where somebody hugged me and they started crying and all that stuff. So that was emotional for them. It was also for me, you know, because it's when you see somebody crying and then they want to change, and then like I remember the woman was crying when she saw the footage, and then I went to her and I started talking to her, and then she went. She went away. She didn't want to talk. She was like super embarrassed for crying. Then she came back, started crying again, and I went again to her, and I'm like, "Listen, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's a norm. It's exactly the reaction that it should be normal. You know, when you see this kind of stuff that's happening." So she went away again, and then she came back and then had a little bit of a conversation. She couldn't talk a lot, so I said, "Listen, just open this and watch it." And Gary's speech, and she opens it right there in front of me, puts her headphones, and like, I'm gonna listen to this right now. And she went away listening to it. So I'm like, oh, that was great. That was pretty good.
Aww.
Yeah.
More people should be that open. Be like, maybe I was wrong. Let me see what this person has to say.
Yeah, that's true. It's impressive when you do activism, just how much you realize just how closed off people are, and just how nice it is. Like, I would say the one thing that changed for me, or that activism changed for me, was realizing that intelligence is not knowledge or or imagination or any of it. It's openness. Intelligence is openness. It's how open you are to realizing that you might be wrong. That you're like, that's intelligence. That's what it is. So
it is able to see like other points of view, like question your own belief system and all of this, like accepting new information. What you thought was right might not be. Like, that's just, you need intelligence, as you said, like, to do such a thing. It's impressive. Okay, I'm done with the activism part. And this I just inserted because I listened to your live with a Born Vegan. I'm not remembering her real name now, but Karina. I know she's exactly, but I know she was called Born Vegan. And I kind of just wanted to get your opinion because I know this is like a very touchy point for vegans, like about intersectionality in veganism.
Okay, intersectionality. Are you trying to cancel me? What's happening? Yeah.
Yes, I got cancelled. I cancelled myself in my interview. Now I had to cancel someone else. I'm dragging everyone down with me.
So intersectionality. Okay, well, it depends. Depends on how you understand what intersectionality is, right? Because if you say that you're not vegan if you're not a feminist, that I don't think that's true. You can be a vegan and not a feminist. Is it weird? Yes, it's freaking weird to be to think that animals deserve rights and for some reason women don't, or equal rights. So I'm like, well, what's going on there in your mind? But so in that sense, I know that the problem with intersectionality is making claims like that. Like you can't be, I'm not going to bring the Israel-Palestine conflict into this conversation, but just like, let's just stick to like feminism and all that. So let's say you can't, if somebody says that you can't be, you can't not be a feminist if you're vegan, I'm like, I can. Doesn't mean I'm not, but I understand the whole connectiveness of it. It's true. Like they're all part of discrimination. They're all I feel like they're all coming from the same types of feelings within us. They're all coming from the same types of thinkings, from the same, I like to say from the same part of the brain. I don't know if it is the brain storing actually on one side or the other, but like, yeah. So in that sense, they are very similar, but they are very different to fight against, right? Also, so whereas with feminism, you need to fight. Yes, you still need to fight the ideology, like we kind of do it for veganism. But for feminism, you don't go on the street talking to people about feminism. You kind of need systemic change more than anything. And veganism will also need systemic change. It will get to that point, hopefully, in the future. Hopefully, as close to as close to the present as possible.
Yeah.
But as it is now, we just need more people to be vegan. So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely, this is like super intrigued. I also don't know exactly because I feel like veganism comes from a place of compassion with non-human beings. And then, but why wouldn't you also extend compassion to human beings, So for me, they're all like in the same empathy spectrum. But I do agree with you that like you can be vegan and not be other stuff, would just maybe be a bit weird. But in theory, you could. I guess.
I mean, theoretically you can. Practically, it could be a red flag, right? Like you can be, but it could be a red flag that maybe you don't understand what veganism actually is. Maybe something along those lines. I don't know, because like it's again, it's a bit weird to think that animals deserve rights and humans not, as you put it.
Exactly.
So like, yeah.
So yeah. Okay, I won't cancel you more.
That's okay. It's okay. I'm fine. I don't mind expressing opinions.
Okay, fire question round. So the rules are, there's no rules basically. It's just the point is that you should answer as quickly as possible. Like not too much thinking, not too many words like entering, basically. That's it.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Okay. Do I have to go and when I say it?
No, like but you can.
Okay, I want to do okay.
Okay. It's just like things that I collected that I think are like half controversial, like in the vegan community.
They're also controversial.
But so these ones,
me say
I said with the long text, I was done. Now we go to the short text. Okay. So secondhand animal products. Is it something you would own? No. Okay. Owning cats or having cats?
No.
Owning is weird. Using.
Wait. Are we saying yes or no to like?
Would you?
I don't mind. I wouldn't do it. Okay, I don't mind if people do it like a rescue cat or whatever. But yeah.
You wouldn't do it personally.
I wouldn't do it personally. Yes.
Because they're carnivores, or because you don't like cats?
Because I don't like the idea of owning animals.
Okay. So you wouldn't like to have any kind of pet. That's what you mean.
I would like to have pets, but in the current climate where we're at, I don't think it's I don't think people can understand the idea of companionship, and I would just perpetuate an idea of animals being less than us. So I don't like that. And also, like, I'm alone, and it's hard to have a pet alone. So
Okay. Fair. You can have a rabbit or a snake. Okay.
sure, that's what I want: a rabbit or a snake. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Using animals' body parts in surgeries.
Yes.
Is being vegan more expensive?
No.
Would you be a freegan?
Is that like the person who eats from dumpsters?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Like whatever is left over, like if someone has too much food and it might not be
No.
vegan, you would still do it. You would still consume it.
Unless I have to do it to survive, but otherwise no.
Yeah. No. Not in that case.
Yeah.
Like you would only buy vegan products, but if someone else bought it and he was gonna go to the trash, if you don't eat it, you wouldn't eat it. Okay.
Exactly.
Do you think bivalves are sentient?
Yes.
Would you eat honey?
No.
Would you have backyard chickens?
No.
Okay. I don't know. I have to delete this question. Are raw vegans real vegans?
No.
You're the first one to say no.
No, raw vegans are not vegans, and raw vegans are not even health conscious. I hate raw vegans. I'll gladly say it. Why?
Please.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop with this nonsense. The raw vegan, why? Why is cooking food all of a sudden bad? What do you mean? It doesn't remove nutrients. It's ridiculous. It's basically pseudoscience. So if you're pseudoscientific and vegan, I don't like you. So
oh my god, that's so good. But I agree. So it's like we as a species discovered fire, made nutrients more bioavailable for us, and that's why our brains and we like developed so fast. No.
Yeah, because of cooking.
Because of cooking, exactly. Anything, cooking anything. You make like try eating a raw potato. It's not really good. And it could actually be poisonous. So no, don't do that. So it's just like, why would you not? I also don't get it. Yeah. Did you take the Liberation Pledge?
Is that the one where you don't go to any? Not officially, no. So not officially, no. I still don't go to any non-vegan places, but
I think it's more like you wouldn't eat if the table has non-vegan food.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! Then not, I didn't take it, but I'm not doing that. I didn't officially take it. I didn't know that's what it was, but I'm not eating with somebody who eats animal products.
At the table, right? If they're with you, they have to eat vegan. Okay. It's just like, you're an animal abuser. I don't want to eat with you.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, then I guess this answers the next question, but I'm still going to ask. Would you cook animal products for your family?
No. Even when I was vegetarian and my ex-girlfriend wasn't vegetarian, I wasn't cooking. I was like, you know what? Cook it yourself. I'm not going to touch it. So. And I was the cook in the house. So,
Damn. Setting boundaries.
Yeah.
Would you buy or do you buy vegan products from a company that also has non-vegan products?
Yeah, no problem there. Yes.
Would you date?
I prefer the other way around, but yeah.
Would you date a non-vegan?
No. No, I don't want to. I don't want to. But I probably would do it. I don't want to, but I would do it.
Okay. Would you eat lab-grown meat?
I don't want to, but I would do it. It's the same response. It's like I don't crave meat, but if I find that like no, I would say no. It's ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous argument in my head where I say, oh, well, I will create a demand for something that is not animal product, and I get it. But I don't do that. I would remove demand from plant-based products. So it's a dumb argument in my head. So no, I wouldn't do it.
Okay. And last, should governments intervene and cut subsidies for animal farms?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And subsidize vegan. by the way.
Exactly. In fact, they should subsidize plant-based products.
Or
Like
just
this.
help them transition. I know there's some programs, but they're not like widely available.
It's
Because I get
you
it,
know,
like from the farmer's perspective, it is a lot of investment that they did for whatever, and transitioning might be complicated and very expensive. So that's
yeah, that's true.
because the
That's
whole
true, but like
infrastructure is different. I am aware.
that's true. They should incentivize farmers to go away. I'm trying to think now that you mentioned this, which one should come first? But I don't know. I'm thinking maybe both should come at the same time as a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they will come because, you know, we are lucky that veganism is good for the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it will come because of the environment, not
Yeah.
because of animals or veganism or anything. But yeah, sadly. Yeah.
Sadly.
Sadly.
Okay. I'm done with my fire question, Rot.
Yay, no, only not so bad shots were fired. No, that's good.
And last question of our interview. How do you see the vegan movement evolving over the next decade? Decade? Whatever.
Decade.
Decade.
So I think that there is going to be a separation at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Weird, but I think there will be. So there's these people who are much like myself, are more practical vegans, where we want to get more people vegan, more people, less animal exploitation, and all of this. And there will be hardcore vegans who will say, no, we cut the line here. You'll be. So I do think at some point there might, because you said 10 years, so 10 years is a long time. I think that could happen in 10 years. I do see the vegan movement growing a lot, especially in Europe and UK. It's a pity that in US it's not growing as much. But I don't think it's going to be that far away. I'm a bit pessimistic about it. I think like we're gonna, yeah, sadly we're like, I don't know, let's say we're at 2% now population worldwide. We'll get to 2.5%, something like that, maybe. I don't know.
So I tried to end this in a positive note, and you destroyed it.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, let me put it this way.
I'm just joking.
It's obviously gonna be better, right?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be better. Like yeah, I'm not it's not gonna be as good as we hope, right? Because 10 years feels like a long time, but it's definitely gonna be better than now. And as I've been talking to a lot of people who've been vegan for much longer than me, it's already much better than it was years ago. So I think in 10 years, assuming the world continues the trajectory that it's going, we are going to be having, I think, more plant-based products in 10 years than animal-based products. And some of them, maybe, I don't know if a large portion of them, but at least a good part of them will be cheaper than their animal-based counterparts. So then more and more people will start shifting more and more towards, maybe not for every meal, but for most meals. So that's already a win, if you ask me.
Thank you. All right, then I'm done. Thank you for coming. Check.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Chip's channel. And you're also on Instagram, and you make shorts and stuff, like also on TikTok, I discovered. They're very funny.
Also I went on all of them, and I publish on one, I publish on all. Yeah.
So thank you for coming. Any last words? Hey, publicize yourself.
Thank you for having me. By the way, I really like your idea of just like interviewing I don't know, like vegan people. You know, there's Samir and I don't know, I forgot his name. It was like this big YouTuber. There's two YouTubers, so they interview other YouTubers, and they grew a lot, right? Like obviously because of it, like everybody's interested in knowing more about these people, and I feel like you got a lot of potential there with that, and that's pretty cool. Yeah,
was my plan all along.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you're gonna sit in the whole vegan bubble, you're gonna realize that it's very limited. But it's still a nice idea. I like it.
Thank you. I mean, my channel is also about other stuff. I just recently discovered that I actually really enjoy interviews, but I think the focus will still be on like science stuff and debunking things because that's what I really like.
And that's actually something that we actually need. I made a list of things that we need during outreach. I make a lot of lists,
I'm
and
writing.
one of them was more debunking. Right? One of them was, let me see, because I wrote it down here. Yeah, so one of them was debunking more science. Animals being sentient is another that we need more of. And of course, the whole protein thing where people are like, protein. Yeah, you can get protein.
Yeah, the protein one I already covered. Now I'm more the other ones as well. Yeah, because like that's why I started as well, because when I'm really into watching other content creators, especially vegan ones, and then I realized that there was a gap. They were either too scientific and there was like almost ununderstandable, and I come from a science background, or it would be too basic. And I'm like, I need something in the middle that is accessible to everyone, but is still based on fact and science and stuff. So I'm like, okay, this is where I want to go. Or that's my plan.
That's exactly what we need. That's exactly what we need. And yeah, it's at the end of the day, if we're sticking to science and communicating everything correctly, and we're as truthful as we can be, I think we'll win in the end. There's no denying it. Truth. What was the saying? The truth always comes out, right? So we will.
It's not
we will
truth
get there.
always prevails,
or truth always prevails. I don't know. I'm not. I'm Romanian. Why do I know it? The English
I'm Portuguese, and
and yeah. It's but it's also like, I don't know, how is it in Portugal, by the way, the whole vegan movement? How is it in Portugal? How is it? Isn't.
It's not good. It's not good. We do have a vegan party, which is kind of nice. Like, and to be a member of that party, you have to be vegan. I didn't know this before, because they're called Planet, Animals, and Nature. That's like, they're called PAN. People, Animals, and Nature. And I didn't know that they were actually all vegan. I thought they were just like, environmentalists, but they're not. They're actually all vegan, and they do defend animal rights and all of that. So I was very pleasantly surprised, but it's not a big community. I gotta be honest. It's way harder to be vegan in Portugal. It's like being vegan in the 80s. It's like you have lentils and you have tofu and beans and be happy. And if you want a vegan option at a restaurant, you have to ask. Like, you really have to ask for a vegan option, and they have to do something just for you. So props to all the vegans in Portugal. Stay strong.
Yeah, props to them. Also, I wonder if there's not like a demand then for like vegan outreach there in Portuguese and stuff.
Probably, yeah. Also for content creators just creating recipes, because I feel like Portuguese food is very rich. And I do know one content creator that does traditional Portuguese foods vegan, and she's amazing. But more people doing that and promoting like our culture just in vegan, because you can do it. It's not that hard. So
it isn't.
Like, just more diversity, just more. It would just be nice. In Romania, I did have a positive experience though. I went to Romania.
You did?
Yeah. I went to Cluj, which is not even the main city, and everyone was really nice about it, at least.
I mean, Cluj is not the main city, but it's the fastest growing economically, so it's like
but I was pleasantly surprised.
Everybody wants to be there. Yeah. So one thing, you said you did protein. That's what I wanted to say. I remember now. So you said you already did the protein.
But I have to redo it.
Even sometimes even if you repeat the message and you say it slightly differently, you never know if it reaches somebody else. You never know.
Yeah, I will, because I also want to redo the video in general. I'm not very happy with the outcome, but what I did say was actually still true, and I still will want to basically reiterate on that, because the misinformation about like how much protein one needs is just, the more I looked into it, the more infuriated I've become.
Oh, because you're like, you said that you need more than we actually do?
Yeah, and there's a threshold, and most people don't understand that there's a limit to how much you can get, and then it becomes toxic. So they just like keep on like 3 grams per kilogram and 4. And I'm like, please stop.
I wouldn't say it becomes toxic. I would say it's like it's just becomes energy. It just gets transformed into energy.
So like from what I researched, it does actually become like worse for your body. Like I would have to reread the studies again, but there is like a theory, or in science, a theory, and after some point your body cannot break it down, and it starts like actually having a negative impact on your health, and that's not something you want to do. And that's why the recommended dose is so low in comparison, because that's what it is safe and that's what you can thrive on, and everything above that is just sketchy territory.
I also can imagine there's an interval, because if you do a lot of sports, probably you need more protein, right?
Yeah,
if your
yeah.
muscle broken down, you probably need more. If
Yeah.
you have more of a it's
But they covered that as well. That's why, like, I think the max they did, even for high competing athletes, was 2 or 2.2, and that's like kind of like already at
per pound or per kilogram?
Per kilo. I don't know
Per
pounds.
Yeah, you never know, because these studies, you don't know where they are. 2.2 times. Oh, I easily have 4 grams. No, not 4. Maybe between 3 and 4, more closer to 4 grams per kilograms of protein per day.
I mean, the thing is, like, bodybuilders, I'm not saying it's your case. I know bodybuilders do more than that, because their goal is different. It's not being a high performance athlete. Their goal is something else. And then you can go on that road, but claiming that as healthy is my issue. It's like, I don't mind they do that. It's just like, don't claim that to be healthy. And the ones I've watched, to be fair, like, there's this very famous vegan bodybuilder or powerlifter. I don't know his name. He's German, I know that. And he actually says that as well. Like, I consume a lot of calories, a lot of protein, because that's my goal. But I'm not going to say this is healthy and that you should do the same. It's just what I decide to do with my body. And I'm like, okay, power to you, man. Literally.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, I need to look into it. Now you got me curious if it's unhealthy. Let me write it down.
I will send you studies and the science.
Yes, also here. That. Yeah. Yes, please send me that. Yeah.
It's just an index. It's not proven yet, just to be clear.
Are they randomized controlled trials?
Of course. I think I look at anything better or lower than a meta-analysis. Ah,
nice. Okay.
I told you, science background makes everything worse.
Okay, I like that. Okay, I'm curious now. I really want to. Okay, do they make a difference between animal protein and plant protein?
You mean in this one above the certain? There, I don't think so. I don't think they accounted for that variable.
Because
of course, it's different. Yes, the PDCA. AS or PDCCAS is different. So that also, like, of course, accounts for how bioavailable the protein is and how much you actually absorb it. So the studies that do look into plant protein do say that you should consume a bit above the recommended dose, because you're not going to absorb 1-to-1. Also, with some and most animal products, you don't absorb 1-to-1, but different story there. So yes, vegans in general should account for that difference, but it's not like infinite.
Nice. Well, it's clear you have a lot of knowledge about this. Yeah, you should speak more.
I spent way too much time like looking into that video and then did not perform well.
You mean the video?
The video, and because it was in the beginning and I was very uncomfortable on the camera, and I was just like, I don't know.
But that's cool, that's part of you. That's part of you. Yeah. That's part of who you are, right? At the end of the day.
I will remake it for you, though. I will re-record it with more studies. Nice. More randomized controlled studies.
More studies.
More everything.
Throwing studies there.
Yeah. It's like, you won't even see my face. You will just be like, study. Study
here, there. Yeah, everywhere. It's perfect.
Okay. Then thank you again. I have to stop recording. And see you.
Thanks, Kin. Thanks for a nice time.
Ciao.
Have a good one. Bye.